Happy Mindful Monday, Conscious Leaders. So this week we're closing out the section of success, resistance in the brain, and slowly shifting to what the offsite will cover, which is around communication and having healthy conflict, healthy debate. So this is a kind of bridge between the two. We are going to this is very much about resistance, in the sense of that when we experience a certain kind of resistance and we get really caught on the fact that we believe our story, our side of something, is very, very true with a capital T. And it really can cause us to drop into that reptilian brain, to really be forceful in our own way, and to prove or to be righteous about our own story, about the way that we see it playing out, the way what we think is right. And we get really, really attached to it and unable to see the other person's story or point of view or understand it or make any kind of spaciousness. And this is extremely common in business. It's extremely common in personal lives. And it's really a call, an invitation to invite in the other aspects of our brains to be fired up. So I recently experienced this within my career. I was confronted with somebody. We had very, very different point of views about something that was a pretty significant stance within the work that we're doing together. And I noticed that I got really emotionally charged up about it. And I felt a severe resistance to everything that was out on the table. I just wanted to make the person wrong. It was really frustrating because I didn't feel heard and seen or anything like that. And it was really, really interesting, and it reminded me that first of all, I didn't have to make a decision in that moment, and there was room for us to be able to come back to each other, but also to be able to pause and take a few deep breaths, so I can really start to get curious about where they're coming from and understand them a bit more. Did I do awesome? I'm learning. So we just constantly learn, and we just constantly are able to practice these. And when we're working with people that are also practicing this language, it's a really great chance to be like, all right, here we go. Like, let's give this a shot. So first thing I just want to say about this is that in order to have this kind of conversation, there's got to be a certain level of trust. We're going to talk a lot about this at the offsite. Trust is imperative. If you don't have the trust there, you're building from a foundation that's not solid at all. It's like building a house on sand. So that's the main thing. And if you're not offering the opportunity to really understand somebody's side of their story, then it doesn't leave much room for them being open to hear your side, and there's a lack of trust there. So in those moments where we feel that resistance, where we want to go from our lower brain and our reptilian brain, and we want to react, it's a moment to take a breath and pause, right? We know the drill at this point. Take a breath, a few deep breaths, and just be with it. The next thing that I wanted to start to invite in is just notice what's coming up in that moment. Notice the feelings that are starting to come up. Okay, right now I'm really frustrated. Right now I feel really deflated. Okay, the thoughts that are attached to it. I'm not important, right? And then even taking it one step further is the sensation in my body. This is stuff we will go over, and the importance behind it and the why behind it. So just start to become aware as we're moving toward the offsite. Become aware of those feelings, those thoughts, and those sensations inside of you when you notice there's a resistance inside of you. Additionally, at that point, then we want to, like we have before in the past, practice even more in those moments to turn the table and just get curious. Tony Robbins has a fantastic quote that says, "Divorce the story and marry the truth." We get so attached to our stories, and that story is what creates so much dissonant energy, so much toxicity between relationships, all kinds of relationships. So this is an opportunity to really take a moment to divorce our story. And the way that we find truth, which is maybe not necessarily understanding the other person, yet it's revealing where they stand and clarifying to really to see it from their perspective. And we'll talk about the ways in which we can communicate with one another around this as best as possible. Understanding we're not going to get it at 100% all the time, So this week, just start to notice the times in which that you feel resistance, and when you start to create a big story around things, and then how in turn you might project your story on somebody else and only see that is the truth, that is the only story, there's nothing else, you can't even see it any other way. Take a moment, pause, breathe. Once you've taken a moment to pause and breathe, then just notice, what are the thoughts, what are the feelings, what are the sensations in the body? Am I noticing it in my gut? Am I noticing it in my heart? Am I noticing it, am I feeling a fiery energy through me, right? And then at that point, then start to ask some clarifying questions, start to understand where they're coming from so that you can really, really, really see the bigger picture and divorce the story. So have a great week. Very much looking forward to seeing you next week. And of course, feel free to ask me any questions.